I never had much experience with adventure games. At most I played a couple of Telltale games, The Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, and Strong Bad's cool game for attractive people. It's a weird lineup. I feel like a lot of Telltale games really lean into the whole branching narrative thing, and after some time that stuff kinda just loses its luster. At first it's cool to see you can actively choose who lives and dies in this story, until you realize whichever character you save is just destined to die later. I mean, is this even a choice? Who are you gonna save? The person with the gun or the person that can hack TVs? Searching for a more traditional adventure game experience always led me to Sierra and LucasArts, two companies that dominated the adventure game genre in the 90s. Their libraries are full of games with colorful characters, witty dialogue, and engaging stories. And it's everything I was looking for. And while looking through their collective library, I found one game that really stood out to me. Grim Fandango. It looks really interesting. The cover art for the remastered version kinda looks like an Indiana Jones movie poster. I've heard people sing this game's praises for its wonderful blending of Mexican folklore and film noir vibes. I don't know what film noir is, but it sounds cool as hell, right? Wikipedia describes film noir as a
cinematic term used primarily to describe stylized Hollywood crime dramas, particularly those that emphasize cynical attitudes and motivations.
So, stuff like Casablanca. I've never seen Casablanca. I did watch a lot of gaming reviewers growing up on YouTube, and from that experience I knew two things. One, Grim Fandango is good. Two, Final Fantasy VIII is bad. And since I'm much older and I know better, Final Fantasy VIII isn't bad, you guys are just mean. I really want to know if this game still holds up today. Created by Tim Schafer during his time with LucasArts, Grim Fandango was the last project he worked on with them before he left the company and founded Double Fine Productions. Now Double Fine's a bit more recognizable. They're behind a few other games that I love, stuff like Psychonauts, The Cave, and Costume Quest. In 2023, they celebrated the 25th anniversary of Grim Fandango. There's even a blog post on the Double Fine website celebrating the game's history with fan art, cosplay, and a neat little character poll. People really love Grim Fandango, and I've always wanted to know why. Like, what's the thing that's drawing people in here? And with the remastered release of the game being available on pretty much anything, it feels like there's no better time than now to see what all the buzz is about. Also, the game released on my birthday, so like, come on! So for this video, I'll be playing through the remastered version on Xbox. As far as I know, the major differences here are the upgraded visuals, new control schemes, and the developer commentary. Okay, alright, done rambling, let's see what Grim Fandango's all about.
Sorry for the wait, Mr. Flores.
The story begins with our protagonist, Manny Calavera, meeting with one of his clients in his office.
There's no need to be nervous.
Nervous? No. It's just your appearance. It's a little intimidating.
Intimidating? Me? But I'm your friend. My name's Manny Calavera. I'm your new travel agent.
Manny lives here in the Land of the Dead, also known as the 8th Underworld. He doesn't live, he's a Reaper travel agent working for the Department of Death. Here, he sells his clients travel packages for their 4-year journey of the soul, where the dead embark on a trip to reach the Land of Eternal Rest in the 9th Underworld. So depending on how good of a person you were in the Land of the Living dictates which travel packages you qualify for. If you were an exceptionally good person, you could get a ticket for the number 9 express train, which can get you all the way to the 9th Underworld in just 4 minutes as opposed to 4 years. But if you were kind of a piece of shit, you could get a travel package so bad that they just mail you off to the 9th Underworld in a coffin. It says here you don't put your cart in the cart return when you're done shopping. Yeah, well, they have people who work there to run out and get them. It's kind of their job, not mine, so... Manny's latest client, Celso, turned out to be not a great guy. Manny just barely manages to get them a walking stick for their journey. But hey, it's got a neat compass on the top. So now Manny's stuck here at the DoD until he sells enough premium packages to pay off this debt he owes the company. But it'll take a literal saint to give him the chance to start selling some premium packages. However, Manny's a bit crafty and manages to steal a client from one of his coworkers, Domino Hurley.
That's some premium looking scotch.
Have some, Manny, just so you don't forget what premium tastes like.
I want to punch you in the mouth.
This client's name is Mercedes Colomar. She goes by Meche, and Meche is the definition of a saint.
Did you kill much when you were alive?
Very little.
Her record is as clean as possible, but Manny can't find a good travel package for her. He leaves to try and sort things out, but he ends up getting chewed out by his boss and Domino for stealing the client. Before Manny can get back to Meche, she's left the office and decided to walk to the Ninth Underworld all by herself. So now Manny must go on his own 4-year journey to reunite with Meche and help her reach the land of eternal rest. And on this 4-year journey, we'll experience death in the 8th Underworld and come face to face with its criminal underbelly. This is such a fun little story full of twists and turns, but adventure games are all about the story, so I'll lean away from those aspects until later in the video. No need to worry about spoilers right now. As of right now, we're free to start moving around in Manny's office. Damn, this game looks so good. The art style holds up amazingly in my opinion. Double Fine actually has a couple videos up on their YouTube channel that discuss the development and inspirations for Grim Fandango, and they had mentioned that Grim Fandango was their first fully 3D adventure game. They were pretty nervous about making the jump to 3D, and I can see why. The original came out the same year we got Ocarina of Time, Resident Evil 2, and Gex!
Hey, cool. I wonder what's on HBO.
Just quit while you can. Despite the bar being so high that angels are practicing their high jump off of it, I think they knocked it out of the park. This game has 3D models rendered in real time with these stylish pre-rendered backgrounds. God, it looks so good. The backgrounds especially look fantastic. There were so many points in the game where I would just stop to take it all in. So, do you think we'll ever get a science-based dragon MMO? The dynamic lighting added in the remaster just ties it all together. It looks so great seeing the light bounce off of these models. Speaking of the models, the art for them is directly inspired by Kalacas, which are these little skeleton figures used to decorate on Day of the Dead, which is also the same day that this game takes place. Ain't that pretty cool?
Scaring the living is technically against the rules, but we all do it.
This style is replicated so well in Grim Fandango, despite the blocky models, especially since these little skeleton figures themselves often look a little blocky, since the skeletal structures like the ribcage are painted onto the body rather than sculpted. Also, hot take, I love bulky and polygonal models in games. They look cute, alright? I like it when my video game characters look like they have edges so sharp you could cut your fingers on them. You'd think that a game full of skeletons would get a little repetitive to look at, but every character has their own visual flair that helps them stand out from the crowd. Whether it's hair that really shouldn't be there, skulls in all kinds of shapes, scrimshaw art on the bones, or Manny's tribrow, everyone stands out in their own way. What? What is that? The cast of characters all look amazing, and I adore each of their designs. Which, yeah, we should probably get out there and see those characters for ourselves. Unlike most adventure games, Grim Fandango isn't point and click. Unless you're playing a version where it is. So we can actually walk around ourselves with the left analog stick. Yes, with the left analog stick. I'm not doing tank controls. I'm so sorry. Not gonna do it. Not happening. This game also differs from other adventure games by not showing us a hotbar with all of our items or ways that we can interact with the environment. Instead, we use the 4 face buttons to do all that. Whenever Manny is looking at something, we can press X to examine.
Things do look bad, but this jump wouldn't do the trick, unfortunately.
Press B to pick something up. And press A to interact with objects or talk to people.
They're locked.
They're lockers!
Then we can use Y to access our inventory. Everything we get is stored inside of Manny's coat, and this is really clever and neat. Sure, it's not a gorgeous pause menu or anything, but it's creative and fun. I wish more games had cool ways to access your inventory aside from basic menus. Let me see my villagers' pockets. I want to see how the fish and furniture are holding up in there. You'll also never have so many items that it gets annoying to cycle through and find what you need. I think at most I had like 6 items in my inventory at once. Except for this one time I kept accidentally grabbing bread.
I just take a little more bread to honor the dead. I just take a more bread to honor the dead. I just take a little.
Also, since the A button and the B button do practically the same thing, I never really used the B button outside of one time where it was mandatory to get an item. I'd only press B to see if Manny had something fun to say for trying to pick something up.
Hey, sailor. Quit fooling around.
Gameplay is some of that good old-fashioned puzzle-solving action that I was looking for. You'll run around, talk to people, find items, and use that information you've gathered to solve puzzles and advance the plot. I don't want to talk too much about the puzzles for spoiler reasons, but man, they made me feel like a genius sometimes. The way the game subtly pushes you towards the solution without totally giving it away is so well done. Okay, here's an example from near the beginning of the game. So you want to get inside this pneumatic tube room, but the only person with keys is this demon who fixes them. So we need to damage the tube system somehow, so they need fixing. So how do we do that? From the previous cutscene, we saw Manny use this weird bubbly packing foam to mail people off to the 9th Underworld. So what if we use that to jam the tubes? We get a balloon, fill it up with some of the packing chemicals, send it down the tube chute, and it doesn't work. In the cutscene, we saw Manny use 2 different chemicals, so that other chemical we need serves as the reacting agent that helps the foam bubble up. Grab another balloon, fill that one with the other chemical, send it down the tube chute, and bam, the whole thing is busted. Having hints to solving puzzles in the cutscenes is so cool. It's like there's solid reward for paying attention to the story aside from just being clued in on what's happening, especially since I had just dismissed this scene as a funny gag. I played through the whole game without a guide and it's 100% doable. There were just a few puzzles that had me walking in circles for a while though. There were also times where I was just a bit confused about what my objective is. There's also the odd puzzle here and there with really strange solutions. For example, here I need to get off this boat, but I can't go through this door here. But I can raise the anchor, so I think, oh, I'll climb the chains and escape. But that doesn't work. So what do I need to do? Wanna know the solution? I gotta tear the boat in half with the anchors. That wasn't my immediate thought. I don't want to do that. I like this boat. It's really only the latter half of the game that has a couple of weird puzzles that I wasn't sure how anyone was supposed to figure out on their own. I only managed to solve them by purely trial and error until the solution just popped out at me. Puzzle solving comes a lot easier when you get adjusted to the wacky and weird line of thinking this game has, which I think just sort of comes with the territory for adventure games. I'm new to this. Spare me, but if I ever found myself becoming too frustrated by the puzzles, I could just sit back and listen to the soundtrack to chill out for a bit. The music in Grim Fandango is also really good. These tracks make me feel like a detective, like I'm hot on the trail, figuring out where Meche could be, like I'm about to figure out what I need to do with this damn Robert Frost balloon.
This doesn't look anything like Robert Frost.
So many of these jazzy tracks perfectly capture this sleuthing vibe, and it is incredible. Maybe I should give Casablanca a shot. I heard it's pretty good. I don't know. What do you think? These tunes also really fit their environments. The casino has this really high energy, upbeat track that plays. This area on a moonlit dock has a more chilled out and relaxing tune that you could fall asleep to. And then there's a bit more of a tense track that plays when you're up on the ledge of the DOD building. Manny, be careful. You don't want to fall off that ledge and end up dying. I need the vinyl for this soundtrack. I'm not the most musically inclined, so I can't properly articulate why I love the soundtrack so much. I just, like, Google it and to listen to it. The whole thing is even on Spotify. What the hell? You have nothing to lose here. And when you're not jamming out while gambling your life savings away, you'll spend time chatting up the residents of the land of the dead. Oh, guess what? Every character in this game, good. The good guys, the bad guys, they're all so charming, and I always enjoyed Manny's banter with them.
Hey, let's beat up that waiter.
Not a bad idea. But he's new. Give him a break. Why, if it ain't Manny Calavera, come to see how the big boys play, eh, Manny?
From what I can tell, they play with kitties.
Kitties, roulette tables, what's the difference? They go round and round all day, and they're both more reliable when they're fixed. Am I right?
How do you do this job?
Without becoming jaded, you mean? My secret to happiness, Manuel, is that I have the heart of a 12-year-old boy. I keep it over here in a jar. Would you like to see it?
No.
Sorry. old Karan a joke.
I got genuinely so excited whenever I got to meet a new character. It's one of the funniest games I've played in a while. The cast is pretty diverse too. We've got depressed clowns, the Sugar and Sugar Skull, pigeon-loving revolutionaries, mommy issues, and so much more. It all helps make the Land of the Dead feel so lived in, pun intended. Like, every character has their own story going on parallel to Manny's. This might be a lame choice, but Manny might be my favorite character. His dry wit and humor is just unmatched by any other character.
Say hello, Mr. Rag. Hello, Mr. Rag.
He's also just a really good guy at heart. I feel like adventure game protagonists have this reputation of being sneaky and a bit slimy, but Manny genuinely cares for people. Even if he tries to act like a hotshot, Manny's willing to fight for the people he cares for, especially for his best bud Glottis. Throughout your whole adventure, you're accompanied by Glottis, and he's the best.
Hey, I look good in this, don't I?
Glottis is an elemental spirit created with one specific purpose. What is Glottis's purpose, you may ask? Wonderful. This hot rod loving demon is an amazing foil to Manny, being much more naive and happy-go-lucky. I thought Glottis was hilarious. He's sweet, he's funny, and he kinda looks like Charmander. His dynamic with Manny also feels so sincere. It never feels like Manny is looking down on Glottis, like he's incompetent or anything like that. It's not like the idiot best friend trope or something similar. It feels like they're just two buds with their own set of skills going along on this journey together. There's also Meche, who I can't talk about for spoilers and all that stuff, but she's great too.
Were you a big shoplifter?
Well, they accused me of it once.
Really?
But it wasn't my fault. That puppy followed me out of the store.
Oh.
She sounds so familiar. Oh my god, that's Maria Canals Barrera. She plays the mom in Wizards of Waverly Place.
Hey, you guys, we're 5 minutes away from pro wrestling.
Oh gosh, I've turned into my mother.
She's not the only voice I recognized either. Manny's voiced by
Tony Plana,
who also played the dad in Ugly Betty. Oh my gosh, this is such a weird voice cast, but I love it. I think they all kill it. It's amazing. The only problems I had during the adventure stemmed from the controls. After all, the game was made with tank controls in mind, so there are a lot of moments where you'll walk into a new area, the camera angle will change, and then you have to get your bearings, readjust the stick to go where you want to go. It's a little disorienting, but it's pretty easy to get used to. Though there was this one area in the second year where the screen changes right before an elevator, so I would forget the elevator's there, run into this area, and immediately go straight into the elevator and be forced to watch this little cutscene. I went on this elevator like 8 separate times. This is an issue that goes away completely if you just use the tank controls, but I don't like them. I think they're gross. I don't want to use them. I only like my tank controls sometimes. Like in Resident Evil games, love them. I think they're great. It's like a weird preference thing. I can't explain it. I'm sorry. There was also this really weird glitch that would happen during Manny's idle animation. So during his idle animation, he'll take out a cigarette and smoke it, but at one point it got stuck to his hand even after putting it away. So now a lot of my footage has Manny with a little glowing light from his cigarette near him because it's still attached to his fingers, but it's like very far off screen. It's like attached, but it's like floating like 5 feet away from him. So that pretty much covers most of my thoughts regarding Grim Fandango. Now, I wanted to take some time to talk about each year you spend in the 8th Underworld. For each year, I want to talk a bit more in depth about what I like, what I don't like, and some story stuff here and there. Don't worry though, I got this handy dandy little timestamp that'll take you right to the end of the video where I'll discuss my final thoughts and all that jazz, if you want to avoid spoilers. I really recommend experiencing this game's story firsthand though. Even if you have to use a guide, don't worry about it. Just get through the game, play it, it's a blast, it's cheap, it's on every game system imaginable. Just come on, play Grim Fandango.
Right now!
Okay, alright, that's it. I'm done spieling. Let's get into year 1. After we screw up and Meche is lost, our boss locks us in this little shed in the garage. Our coworker, good old Domino Hurley, is busy acting like hot shit and kissing up to our boss after what happened. But as much as Domino might act like he hates Manny, I know deep down how much he cares for him.
Hey, Dom. What's your screensaver password?
Get away from my computer, Manny.
Did you hear the way he said that? That little chuckle at the end? Blatant flirting. We end up getting saved by Salvador Limones, a member of the Lost Souls Alliance. This organization is focused on exposing the corruption and lies in the Department of Death, and hunting down pigeons, I guess.
You're keeping me here because you need the eggs?
Why are you still here, Calavera? Go get me an Air Force before it hatches. Now that's all the briefing you need, soldier. Viva la revolucion!
Yeah, like that's really cool and all, but we're more interested in finding Meche. Our goal for this year is to pass through the Petrified Forest to reach Rubacava, the first major stop on the 4-year journey of the soul. Then we can just hang out, vibe till she arrives. It's pretty straightforward, but I think it does a good job of introducing you to the land of the dead, the major characters at play, and our overall main objective in Grim Fandango. What I love the most about the first year is the sense of wonder that came with it. During my first year, I just had so many questions about this world. How did all these characters die? Where do you travel to on your 4-year journey? Why does the land of the living look like that? From the get-go, I was captivated by this world and all the characters that inhabit it. I was so eager to explore beyond my office room and learn as much as I can about the 8th Underworld. I won't lie though, at first I was kinda iffy about a story where all the characters are dead. I feel like there's a lot of tension lost when nobody can die because we're already there. And that was until we see our boss get fucking blasted.
There it goes. Funny.
Ugh, like a greenhouse exploded. This scene playing right before you enter the Petrified Forest is perfect. It really reaffirms that this is a dangerous journey, and if you're not careful, you can opposite of die. When we do manage to escape the Petrified Forest with Glottis, we also get to see his friendship with Manny Bloom.
Manny, I don't know if I like driving over people.
They can't feel it, they're dead.
You're dead. I wouldn't want to drive over you.
That's because you and I, Gladys, are friends.
Aw, Manny.
The way the two play off of each other is great, and I love that no matter what, Manny refuses to leave Glottis behind, despite them really not being that close. It just sucks that Glottis' car controls like ass. Damn, the Bone Wagon is awful. It's like even jankier and slippery tank controls. Thankfully, you never have to operate it in an open area like this again. Speaking of things that suck, look at that texture for Manny's ribcage when he's wearing this green suit. Ugh. When we do reach Rubacava, we're right at the end of year 1, so there's not too much to do here besides wrap things up, get things moving along. However, we do get to meet Velasco, who's up there as a contender for one of the best characters in this game. He's just a sweet old man that loves his boats, and he's pretty friendly to Manny and Glottis. He even saves Manny when I accidentally sent him flying off a cliff, but he saved us. He's cool. He's sweet. Aw, look at him over there chatting up Glottis, talking about... What are they talking about? Why does he look so nervous? Look at how he's standing. This looks like I just walked in on a confession. I feel like I shouldn't be here. All we can do now is just settle down and wait here until Meche arrives. Just 1 year later, Manny has taken over this little area in Rubacava and created the Calavera Cafe, a flashy and vibrant casino. Oh, it's just so cool. Look at Glottis! Look at him, he's playing the piano! Manny waits here in Rubacava and looks out every day for Meche, hoping that today will be the day that she arrives. So it's like some Great Gatsby vibes going on. Luckily, today is that day, and we spot Meche hopping onto a boat with Domino. When we try to chase after her, she us, and she's gone. She's gone. Right off the bat, our goal is clear. We need to hop on a boat and get after Meche. Now here's the deal. Year 2 is the best year in the game, bar none. Why? Well, for starters, in Rubacava, there is so much to explore and see. First, we've got the Calavera Cafe, Manny's very own casino. You can even operate his roulette tables via this little device in his office. Next, there's a neighboring casino where they have their own version of horse races. Instead, we got giant cats instead of horses. I believe these cats are based heavily off of Alebrije, which are these flashy and colorful sculptures of fictional creatures. Sometimes these sculptures can be big, giant, mythical creatures like dragons or a hybrid of two animals, which explains why some of the cats we see have odd features like wings or vibrant fur patterns. There's also the Blue Casket Poetry Lounge. Here you can go up to the mic and even spit your own poetry. I'm not like a poetry snob or anything, but let's just say that the poetry is like pretty subjective.
Cynthia, you're dead. You are dead.
We also have a tattoo artist's place, or not tattoos, it's scrimshaw art, which to my understanding is like engraving art onto the bones. So like the skeleton equivalent of a tattoo. Isn't that cool as fuck? Moving away from locations, the characters here are all 10 out of 10s. I love Lupe's high energy and her excitement to tell you about her new sorting system for coats. God, I relate so hard to the urge to share unnecessary information, which is why I'm gonna keep going. Olivia Alfrenda has this cool and mysterious air about her, though she loses points for stealing my poem.
I reach out. I crave disappointment.
Turning the battle.
Ashes to ashes. Biba, is it you or am I you? The lie.
Her boyfriend, Maximino, owner of the cat races, even built a giant airship in her honor and named it after her. Wait, someone building an airship and naming it after their significant other. Carla, the security guard who clearly has the hots for Manny, but he couldn't give less of a shit. Then when you chat with her, she starts trauma dumping about her relationship with her mom.
No, Mother! I'm so sorry!
Oh, God!
Membrillo is a kind and mellow guy with a dark sense of humor. He also easily drops one of the hardest quotes in this game.
We may have years, we may have hours, but sooner or later, we push up flowers.
I could go on and on about the characters, but for now, let's move on to the next major thing I enjoyed about Year 2, the puzzles. Oh my god, these puzzles are as tough as nails. I enjoyed this year so much because I racked my brain for hours trying to solve the series of puzzles left behind by Lola. I never once felt like these puzzles were impossible either. Eventually, I always realized that one tiny piece I was missing to put it all together. Though I will admit, I was stuck for a very long time on the puzzle in the High Rollers Lounge, because when you inspect the VIP card for the High Rollers Lounge, Manny says, better not show this to Gladys. So I go, oh yeah, I don't want to upset my guy Gladys, so I outright refuse to show him the card out of fear I might cause him harm. Little did I know you're supposed to show him the card and you're supposed to enable his gambling addiction, and that's how you progress the story. Now I got Gladys hooked on cat races.
I had no idea you liked gambling so much, Gladys.
Well, the doctors made me promise I wouldn't do it anymore. But they can't get in the High Rollers Lounge! Now can they?
I'm sorry, dear Prince. You deserved so much better.
Coming home soon?
What did you say, little kitty? Don't talk, kitty cat. Just run, baby!
Near the end of Year 2, it felt so bittersweet. We finally got everything prepared for the boat, but the Calavera Cafe gets shut down and we wave goodbye to everything we built in this past year. I had grown so attached to this area that it was sad to see it all go. It's not all bad news though. I'm just happy that Gladys is still with us. That's really all I care about. Another year come and gone, Manny is now the captain of the ship he hopped on to leave Rubacava. It's all smooth sailing. Until every member of the crew is murdered by intruders. I mentioned it earlier, but here's where they have that weird puzzle where you need to cut the boat in half with the two anchors. Which, like, how was I supposed to figure that out? Like, genuinely. Talking to Gladys does nothing.
Gladys, do something.
Okay.
Manny won't go outside because he doesn't want to get shot, and I don't know, I felt like things could have been pointed out to me a little better here. So after the boat's cut in half, we somehow sail away with the half that we're on, and it inevitably sinks, of course, in the middle of nowhere. Eventually, we reach the edge of the world, and we find some big ass building. It's here that we finally reunite with Meche, and she reveals that she us earlier because this whole thing was a trap set up by Domino to lure Manny here. Apparently this place is some giant prison, and when presented with this information, Manny just immediately accuses Meche of sleeping with Domino.
I didn't want you to end up a prisoner here like me.
Prisoner? Where's your cell? Or are you just sharing a bunk with the warden?
Which, like, what the fuck, man? He does apologize later, but like, why did he say that to begin with? Domino shows up and reveals that he wants Manny to take his place and run this joint. Then he fucking kills Glottis! Not really, he's fine. To sum it all up, our goal for this year is to escape Domino's prison. I really didn't like this year that much. As cool as it sounds to be at the edge of the world, there really isn't all that much here. It's a prison after all, so it's a pretty bleak location. Even when stepping back outside into the ocean floor, there's not much to explore really. The puzzles here were also really simple. Like I didn't have to put a lot of thought into solving most of them. So there's this part where you need to hook this chain onto a piece of metal nearby, and I solved this puzzle completely on accident. By flipping the switch that controls the chain too many times, it made a knot and then got stuck on the hook thing, so yay, puzzle solved. Or there's a moment when you need to trade this guy for some items, but I already had everything he wanted by talking to everyone and interacting with my environment, which, like, cool, I'm glad the game rewards me for doing that, but there's like 3 NPCs to talk to here and not a lot to interact with. It was just very straightforward and simple. It's not bad, but it's like not amazing either. I neglected to mention it until now, but the other NPCs here are these 2 little angel kids trapped on the island as Domino's prisoners. They're cool and they really get along with Meche. I don't know why, but you're given the option to make them cry on multiple occasions.
Hey, kiddos, check out my bone saw.
I just want it to be known that I did this by accident. I didn't think that Manny was gonna do that. I had no idea. What saves this year for me is all of the story stuff that happens. We finally catch up with Meche. We finally uncover the DoD's evil scheme of hoarding and selling number 9 train tickets. And at the end of the year, we get this cool fight against Domino himself. And I thought for a minute, oh, that's so cool. This fight is foreshadowed at the beginning of the game where we can see Domino using his punching bag. Then he pulls out a scythe and never once throws a punch during the whole fight, so I don't know.
Domino's just the kind of guy to practice Oxford regulation boxing and then pull out a blade when it comes time to fight.
Overall, it's a fine enough year. I think some of my favorite parts were also the moments where we get to spend with Meche. The game tries really hard to push the romance between Manny and Meche, but I didn't really get a strong connection between the 2 of them. But here we had a couple of cute moments with them, even if they're pretty brief. And even if this year starts off with Manny accusing her of sleeping around, they had some cute moments. Using a makeshift boat that Glottis repaired, the group sails away from the prison and makes their way to the 9th Underworld. This is it, the final year of the 4-year journey. It begins with the crew finally about to enter the land of eternal rest, but Glottis decides to take a little nap. See, since Glottis was created with the sole purpose of driving, he could potentially die the longer he goes without operating a car. So every year he's gone without driving, he's just been in pain. I would die for Glottis. Before we can enter the 9th Underworld, we've got to find a cure for Glottis. It doesn't really matter all that much anyways though, since the gatekeeper denies entry for us. Since Meche is missing her number 9 ticket, the gatekeeper accuses us of selling the ticket. So now we've got to go all the way back to the beginning of our journey to go and get the ticket. Though Manny set his sights not only on getting Meche's ticket, but getting everyone's tickets. All the people that were robbed by the DoD, Domino, and Hector LeMans. Oh yeah, I haven't mentioned Hector until now. He's this guy that's been teased briefly in cutscenes and in some conversations with other characters. He's the reason why Meche didn't qualify for any good packages, the reason why all of Manny's clients are dick, the reason why Domino got all the good clients, the one behind everything. So the goal for this year is to take down Hector and take back all the tickets. While we're talking about Hector, I really don't know how to feel about him as a villain. Manny and Hector don't even directly interact with one another until this year. Hector. Up until now, it's just been Hector pestering Manny, sending him threatening messages via letter or creepy skeleton birds. I don't know, I feel like maybe this story could have had a little more oomph if it was Domino pulling all the strings instead of just being delegated as a minor villain. But what do you think? This isn't a hill I'm willing to die on or anything, I just didn't feel too connected to Hector as a villain. All of that aside though, this year is pretty great. A step up from year 3 for sure. And I think it's pretty cool that we travel back to where the adventure started. I'm a sucker for that the ending is the beginning kind of trope. And we even get to see Rubicava on the way. Shame we can't visit the Calavera Cafe though. The puzzles this year are much better than the puzzles in year 3, but not nearly as difficult as the puzzles in year 2. They struck that healthy balance between making me think and not making me want to throw up. This is also the one time that I needed to use the B button to pick something up. Here on this little grinder thingy, we put a dead man's arm in it. It's also great to see the criminal corruption of the 8th Underworld on full display this year. There were hints of this corruption shown in year 2, then we get a bit more into it with year 3 and Domino, and here in year 4, Hector's influence has grown powerful enough to reshape cities. And the story is, well, before I say anything, this will be your last little spoiler warning before I talk about the ending and all that jazz, okay? You can skip to the end. You can just click on the thingy. Or not click on it, and you do it yourself. Okay, are you good? We're good? Yeah, okay, let's do it. Year 4 wraps up with Manny finally confronting Hector in Manny's office in the old DoD building that's been repurposed. Manny's even wearing his little Reaper cloak. Oh, this is so cool. He chases after Hector and we manage to secure the double end tickets, but one of Hector's little bird bitches starts attacking. So Manny escapes with Olivia. But it turns out that Olivia works for Hector. And I should have known better. I should have known that she was a traitor after she stole my fucking poem at the poetry slam. I'm never gonna forget that. Also, Sal's here.
Hola, Manuel.
We're dragged out to Hector's greenhouse and he spares us the long spiel about his evil plan and he just shoots us instead. I mentioned it briefly earlier, but death in the land of the dead is life. When people die here, they sprout, practically turning into a garden. It's strangely beautiful, yet horrifying. It's like poetic or something, you know? Not that Olivia would know anything about that. That fucking asshole. We use some liquid nitrogen to stop the sprouting process. Then we head back to Sal. He tells us where we can get a gun to stop Hector, and Sal kills Olivia. Or not kills, you know. Viva la revolución! Sal even had his own number 9 ticket. Oh, why, dude? Why? It's always the real ones. The thing is about number 9 tickets is that they're naturally attracted to their owners, so we can use it as a makeshift metal detector to track down Sal's body. Here we get the keys to Olivia's car, and then we get the gun out of her trunk. Again, since death is different in this world, this isn't like a real loaded gun with bullets. Instead, it's loaded up with fertilizer and chemicals that help begin the sproudification process. So if somebody gets shot with this stuff, they start pushing up roses. Instead of shooting Hector with it, we shoot the greenhouse's sprinkler system, which pours all over Hector in the greenhouse, turning him into a vegetarian all-you-can-eat buffet. Heading back to the 9th Underworld, the gang show the gatekeeper that we recovered all the stolen tickets. Manny even gets his own ticket for his good deeds. But Glottis can't come along for the ride. He's a demon of the land and he's happy now. He's got a job and friends. His exchange with Manny makes me want to cry so damn hard.
I guess I got so wrapped up in saving people, I just assumed I'd be able to save you too.
Yeah, but I don't need to be saved. I like it here. I'm not all alone in that basement anymore, thanks to you. I got a new job and all these new friends. I'm a big demon success story.
So, I guess this is it then.
Come here, give me a hug. Oof. You were the best boss I ever had.
I know he's happy now, but damn, I wanted him on that train so bad. Meche asks Manny if they'll be together when they enter the 9th Underworld, and this is what Manny has to say.
No, sweetheart, if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Nobody knows what's gonna happen at the end of the line, so you might as well enjoy the trip.
I love the ending for this game. See, in my free time, I've been playing through the Final Fantasy series. Before Grim Fandango, I just finished FF9, FF10, and FF15. So I was in desperate need for a feel-good, happy ending all around, and I think Grim Fandango delivers on this aspect. I think the ending really emphasizes the joy in the journey, a message that resonated with me 10 times more after playing FF9 and 10. We never once even get to see the 9th Underworld, which I think is a great choice when you're trying to focus on the importance of the adventure instead of the destination. Saying goodbye to this world and its characters was genuinely upsetting. I had such an amazing time getting to know this world and all of its charms that I was afraid I'd never experience something like this again. Then FF Rebirth came out, let's go! In all honesty, I can't put into words how strongly I feel about this game. And if you watched all the way through the spoiler stuff, I implore you to play the game anyways. I intentionally did not recount the entire story of the adventure so that maybe someone would feel inspired enough to play the game on their own. After completing the game myself, I fully understand why people love this game so much. In all honesty, I'd say that the hype for this game is too quiet. I want this game to boom in popularity. I want to go out in public and see people drinking out of their Manny Calavera mugs and waving around their collapsible toy scythes. Anyways, thank you for hearing me out on what I now consider to be one of my top 10 games of all time. I promise I'm not making commissions off of this. Please just play the game yourself and let me know what you think. I don't know, maybe I'll even play more adventure games in the future. We'll see. Anyways, that's all I had for you guys. Take care.